So it's been about 3 months since Lumina Rush has been released on Steam. And that's my precision speedrunning platformer that I released on Steam, my first ever official game. And you might be asking yourself, Ben, how much money did it make? Well, I'll just tell you, it sold around 145 units so far, and that's roughly come to about $960 in revenue on Steam, which that's before the Steam takes 30%. So I pocket around like $620. Now, is that good? No. Is that terrible? I don't think so for my first game. But I'll be honest, I was embarrassed by how little the game made. And I kind of didn't want to make this video. I had to kind of remind myself why I kind of started this YouTube channel. And sure, it was a part of it was to promote Lumina Rush.
Look at it!
But it was really mostly to just talk about the journey for those that want to know and be honest about it. I wanted to talk about why Lumina Rush made how much money it made and just be honest and share what the lessons I've learned and the things that I'll do next time. I'm going to be talking a lot about marketing. And marketing is one of those things that I didn't know much about, and it definitely plays a factor into when you want to make a game and when you want to sell it. A lot of these things that I'll kind of take points from is from a wonderful website that I learned way later than I should have, called howtomarketagame.com. The guy, I don't remember his name, I'll put it in the somewhere, is really great about kind of talking about where you should put your energy into. And that is a very overwhelming thing that you can have when you're making a game. So a lot of these points I'm going to take from him and just kind of break it down. So first off, let's talk about genre of games. That plays a major role in sales, especially when you're selling on Steam. So to all of my platformer creators and developers, I've got bad news for you. Platformers don't do great. And you're like, Ben, Celeste, Pizza Tower, N+, Super Meat Boy, the list goes on. Yeah, those succeed. Those do awesome. That's kind of the exception, which is weird. Majority of time, just for the ratio of the amount of platformer games on Steam to how many people or how many of those games blow up, it's quite low, actually. And that's kind of what Lumina Rush kind of fell into a little bit. If you're curious about a game or a genre that does do well, that would be horror. Apparently horror pops off on Steam, which sucks because I hate horror. And I don't want to make a horror game, but apparently it does really well. So good for everyone that wants to make horror games. The main points that he kind of drove home was like, spend time making a great Steam store page, going into festivals and getting your game in there, getting eyes on it, and having influencers play your game. He's like, those are the 3 main ways a game will pop off, essentially. There's obviously the Instagram, the Twitter, the Reddit, the TikTok, the YouTube. And I tried all these mediums, and I didn't really find much success in any of those. YouTube's kind of a different story because it seems like, sure, I did find my biggest audience, I would say, but they're more game dev people. And I fall into this bucket a lot where I will follow game dev stuff, but I won't buy the stuff that they create, which is fine, I think, in my opinion. You're here for, just the journey, not here for the creation. Let's talk about my store page. My store page is okay, in my opinion. The thing about it is that there's nothing that really pops, that really drives you to be like, hey, let's figure out more. It's a box moving around, and you see it, and you see like a little clip of it, and you're like, yeah, box move fast. I got it. And my game, unfortunately, is a game that you kind of have to feel to play. And sure, even then, it's not for everyone. So at the end of the day, my store page was mediocre at best, and that probably didn't help in the views, in the wish list, in the visibility that kind of comes from that store page, which is huge. Chris talks about how Steam is your biggest social media area, actually. You will get so many views on it when you first release a store page and be in Steam Next Fest and go through release your game, and having that instant, hey, what is this? I'm gonna check it out. It's cool. It seems like I want to check this out is huge. It's massive. On to the next thing, festivals. I actually went to two big kind of festival things in person. The two were DreamHack, which was before I released the game, and MagFest. They were awesome. I had so much fun meeting people in person, having them play my game in person, playing little challenges I had for them, seeing them compete against each other. But I will say that the amount of money and time it goes into it to go to these conventions, buy all the stuff that you need to show off your game, versus how much wish lists you get, doesn't really make it profitable, in my opinion. You will get wish list numbers, and that's awesome. And you need that to kind of, explode. But it's not like go to one festival and then just pop off. It seems like you kind of have to do it over and over again. And for someone that was self-funding the game, that's tough. But it was super important. I was so glad I went. I actually had one of my favorite influencers who played my game, a girl named Katie Bentz, who's actually a voice actor in Life is Strange, which is crazy. But she played my game on stream. I met her at DreamHack. And that's one of those things where it's like, oh, this is why you go to these conventions. You make these connections. Make these connections with the press, with influencers. Sure, you have the average Joe, but it's those big spreading out tendrils. I also participated in Steam Next Fest, which was this virtual festival, which I also think was really great to get more eyes on it. It's not one of those things where it's like you go into Steam Next Fest and your game will explode, especially if you're one creator. There's a lot of games that go into Steam Next Fest, so it's not a guarantee that you're going to get eyes on it. But I did get still more visibility, and you find those avenues that will give you more visibility and more wish lists. And the reason I kind of talk about wish lists a lot is because Chris recommends having around 7,000 to 10,000 wish lists when you launch your game. For retrospect, I had around 600 wish lists when my game was released, which wasn't recommended, but I was like, hey, I just want to release this game. I want to learn about it. And then finally, let's speak about influencers. I didn't have too many play my game. Sure, I still had Katie, and I had a few other influencers that were pretty small play my game via keys that I sent out via this free service on Keymailer. But I didn't really see anything pop off from that. You really need kind of those bigger influencers, in my opinion, or just a lot of small streamers. But I will say it's really cool to have people from different languages play your game. And I think that was a really cool moment where you see, this Italian streamer was playing my game. And I was like, that's crazy. And that's one of the reasons why I did localize my game. And I did have other countries play it, but it's still, US was by far the biggest country that bought my game. And it never really popped off in any of these other countries. And last but not least, let's talk about the price of my game. My game was priced at $10. And I went back and forth between $5 and $10 for a long time. And the final thing that pushed me to make it $10 was because I put time and effort into making a level editor and to making a versus mode that people could play each other. The thing about that is, people at first glance don't care about that. Sure, that works great for the people that already like your game, that are already buying your game. But for the people that aren't really interested, that really doesn't go that far. It's always funny to at festivals, I'll be like, yeah, it's $10. And people are like, boom, sold. But other people online, that jump from $5 to $10 is a huge deal. And to know that is really important. There's a lot of things that I'll do different with my next game. And I'll learn a lot of lessons then as well. But I wanted to kind of leave with this note as well, which is try not to get caught in the numbers. I know it is important to succeed and to have this big success, but you have to find that balance of striving for those numbers to make it a success and remembering why you did this in the first place, remembering the reason and purpose for it. And that's what you have to figure out is, what do you want this to be? And if this is your first game, I recommend having a low bar. I did that for myself, and even then I was kind of disappointed with the sales. I'm still incredibly proud of what Lumina Rush is and the people that have played it and all of the little successes that it's had. So I won't diminish it by saying it's a failure by any means, but when you have a small bar, you learn, you grow, and you give yourself the grace to grow from it. Because why are you expecting your first hit to be a giant success? Not to say don't put in the effort to try and make it a success. Don't try to market it and stuff like that. You'll learn from it, you'll grow from it, and you'll be better at the next one. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to be better at the next game that I make. And that one might also flop. But at the end of the day, I just like making games. And I'm gonna keep making games. And maybe they just keep not making money, and that's okay. I'm going to find a way to do it. And I hope you all will find a way to do what works best for you as well. So I appreciate you guys listening to me ramble, me learn, and I hope you guys learned as well. And I'll see you guys next time. All the best.